Of course, many of the elements that I just mentioned are already around in some shape or form. They already exist in this district. And to talk a little bit about some of those highlights, I'm going to invite Ms. Diane Chang-Ho to speak, and she'll be followed by Ms. Shore, who will talk about some of the great outcomes of our program. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Chang-Ho.
Good evening. So what is arts integration? As defined by the Kennedy Performing Arts Center, arts integration is an approach to teaching in which students construct and demonstrate understanding through an art form. Students engage in a creative process which connect an art form and another subject area and meet evolving objectives in both. On the screen here, these are just examples of visual arts integration in English language arts, math, and science from Longden Elementary School. So you can see on the very top, that is a painting of an owl hunting at night. And it's actually a painting that follows the owl pellet dissection. So the students could also imagine the whole process. And including, and also for first grade math, we have combining math and color theory in the lesson as well. And with the English language arts, that's pretty common, where you would read about Picasso and learn how to paint portraits in the Cubist style right after. So almost every Wednesday, I would go to a different school to coach teachers on arts integration lessons, and some of the teachers would also invite me to teach lessons in their classroom. What we're hoping to do is to use the makerspace that is now available at all elementary schools to be art studios as well. Ms. Shore will feature some of our Tcusd alumni and what they are doing now in the arts.
I am a graduate of Tcusd Unified. I participated in just about every arts program activity at some point or another in my K-12 life here, and I've been teaching at La Rosa going on my 24th year. So other than leaving for 4 years and getting my teaching credential, I came right back here. It's a great district. We have a lot of things to offer. We have quite a few people who are doing some great things with what they learned in school. And in addition to the doctors and scientists and lawyers and researchers and teachers that we also have a lot of people that are working in the arts, continuing to do that still. So I'm just going to go through the slides pretty quickly so you can take a look. The thing that I think is the greatest about this is I put out the call. Most of these people were my peers in school, and I got instant responses. What do you need? What do you want? I'd be happy to do whatever you need. Do you need me to come back? Do you need me to talk? Do you need me to teach? Do you need me to give a lecture or volunteer my time? One of the things that Ethan mentioned was resources. And so what we are hoping to do is continue to build our resources and make them so that they are sustainable. And one of the ways to do that, in addition to monetary resources, is to also tap the talents of the people that have come through the programs and are continuing to do great things with what they have. So as we go through these, I'm not going to read them all to you. You can see what you need to see. These are representing Dragon Flicks, Brighter Sides, concert choir, women's chorus, which I think is different now, called something different, and also auxiliaries and band, orchestra, PEP, all of the things that we consider to be part of our visual and performing arts. So these people here, we have on the slides what they did, the classes they took, and you can see what they've done beyond. Gallerists, people who do art exhibitions, dancing, starting dancing schools. Emmy winners, we have quite a few Emmy winners on here for writing and producing. The people also participated in media in the area of yearbook, Rampage, writing competitions, writing novels with Miss Rosenkranz's class, and getting their books and their stories published as well years ago. So there are 8-10 people on these slides. We have everything from fine art to choir to stage managing to professional dancing, And these are just people that were basically in my class or a year or two on either side. So imagine how many are out there that we can tap and we can get their help. They said volumes. I just said, give me a bullet list so I can put it on a slide. And they told me so many wonderful things about their experience with all the people that they've had, teaching them, guiding them, coaching them, mentoring them through these programs. But the biggest thing that I heard and read was they got the confidence and they felt that they got the best training in these programs with these mentorships and these teachers and a district that has always supported these programs. And that was what gave them the confidence to go on or to pursue something different. So that is clearly why I got so many responses immediately. What do you need? Let me know. And I said, can I put you in a database so we can call on you at another time? He said, absolutely, let me know. So these are just some of the faces, mostly class of '89. Because I mean, that was how I reached out first, but there are a few in there. But I also want to point out this list right here. These are people who are currently working in our district as staff members who are Tcusd performing arts, visual and performing arts alumni. Their career is just as important. They chose the career of teaching the same thing that they were taught, using what they were taught, using the examples they were given. So we don't want to lessen that at all by saying we don't have an Emmy winner up there, an Oscar winner yet, you never know. But I want to make sure that we draw special attention to these names because these are people that went through the schools, they came back, and they absolutely wanted to give back to Temple City and to our rapid programs.
Well, it's time for another performance. Unfortunately, Ms. Gaffney couldn't be with us tonight, but we do have a few members of the cast of By Any Other Name here to present a scene for your viewing enjoyment.
Good evening, everyone. Hey, come on in. So, my name is Sam. This is Danny. Daniel, wave. This is Danny. Don't get them confused. Danny, wave. She has a green shirt on.
Hi, I'm Cameron.
I'm using a couple of Brighter Side extras as sets. You'll see what that's about in a minute. Suspend disbelief. Our teacher, Ms. Gaffney, couldn't be with us today due to scheduling conflicts, but the three of us are very excited and very ready to show you a little snippet of a scene from our recent show we did. Basic synopsis of the plot. I'm playing a young William Shakespeare who's in a bit of writer's block, and he's helped by his friend, Christopher Marlowe. Might not know who he is. He's one of Europe's leading writers at the time.
Europe's leading writer
at the time. He's being helped by Christopher Marlowe to get his mojo back, and while they're doing that, they go to a party and see the beautiful Viola de Lesseps across the room. I like that. So Shakespeare and Viola talk for a bit, but then they get separated, they get torn asunder, and then on their way home, Will and Marlowe are talking, and then they see a torch on.
but soft.
But like, yeah, they see a torch on the balcony and they go to investigate. So you can kind of see where this is going. In this spoof of Romeo and Juliet's balcony scene, a little bit of Romeo and Juliet meets Cyrano de Bergerac.
Bergerac.
It's a lot easier way to read it. Cyrano de Bergerac, you can kind of see what we're going for. Here's a little snippet of By Any Other Name. You guys want a little bit more curved like that. They're a wall, they're a balcony. Suspension of disbelief. And action.
Look, this is her balcony.
Oh, great heaven.
Go on, speak to her.
Oh, I dare not. The nurse is there.
My lady, you'll catch your death out here.
Oh, leave me, Nancy.
Believe me, this will all end in tears.
Romeo, Romeo, a young gentleman of Verona, a comedy by William Shakespeare.
Well, go on. My lady.
Who's that?
William Shakespeare, my lady.
Madame?
Oh, how goodness anon. Master Shakespeare?
The very same, alas.
Oh, why, alas.
A lowly player.
Alas, indeed, for I thought you the poet of the highest esteem and the writer of the brilliant comedies that captured my heart.
But I am him too.
Lady Viola?
Oh, no, goodness anon. I will come again.
Enough, she takes the bait, let's go.
Nonsense, I'm just getting somewhere.
A lowly player. You're supposed to be a poet. Get out of here before you shame us all.
If they catch you here, they'll kill you.
And you could bring them with a word.
Not for the world. Speak to me, inspire me.
Alas, I cannot, for I am struck dumb by your beauty.
Come, good poet. These are happy troves. Acceptance, improvise. Fill me with your words.
Leave.
Now?
Yes. Translate our base tongue into the golden verse of love.
Help me, Kit. Recite something you know. I've gone blank. Anything. Shall I compare thee?
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate.
Well, it's not exactly Philip Sidney.
Go on.
That's as far as I got.
As far as you got, help me, Kit. Rough winds
Rough winds
do shake
do shake.
the darling buds of May.
Isn't that spring?
It rhymes with day.
The darling buds of May.
And summer's lease
And summer's lease
hath all too short a date.
hath all too short a date.
Oh, it's beautiful, Win.
But thy eternal summer
But thy eternal summer
shall not fade,
shall not fade,
nor lose possession of that fair thou owest.
nor lose possession of that fair thou owest.
But in eternal lines to time thou rose.
What's that mean?
Just say it.
But in eternal lines to time thou growest,
So long as men can breathe.
so long as men can breathe, or eyes can see. So long lives this,
That's it.
and this gives life to thee.
Bravo, I have it back.
Oh, it's beautiful, Win.
It was nothing, really.
Oh, only you could have conceived such a thing.
I rather think it lacks something in the middle.
Oh, it's perfect. Not another word. Madam. Oh, promise you.
Not yet. I'm a poor poet. I have not yet had payment.
Such a blind eloquence is God's recompense.
Oh, yes, to receive the prayers of those two pilgrims. Thy lips.
Oh, too far.
I cannot so be thy lips, thou gilded bishop's golden verse.
Oh, lady, you will burnish them to further eloquence. Help me out, Kate.
Oh, don't do so ugly.
With love's light wings thou opposed these balls. Oh God, you're heavy. Stormy minutes cannot hold love out. And love can do what dares love attempt. Therefore thy kinsman no stop to me. Very good. Very good. Thank you.
Lady Bill, oh, go away, Mercy. Your father comes.
Oh, please, Jane.
I think she's coming back. Give me a second. And scene.
Thank you guys, that was fantastic, thank you. So let's turn to the plan now. Our master plan consists of 4 strategic directions, each of which has actions and timelines. I should show you my strategic direction slide. Has actions and timelines associated with it. So the first of these strategic directions is to harness district and community resources. And in order to do that, we plan to partner and collaborate with stakeholders like local businesses, community volunteers, outside arts organizations, or as Ms. Shore mentioned, even alumni. We also want to build awareness and support for the visual and performing arts among our students, staff, and the community at large. And we want to identify and model successful VAPA programs that exist in our area. Strategic direction B is to build and maintain a sustainable VAPA environment in the district. And in order to do that, we plan to maintain an active VAPA committee, which we have done so far. We want to define and fund VAPA needs, programs, and projects across the district. and we want to work with the Board of Education to create new VAPA-oriented positions. Strategic Direction C focuses on maximizing VAPA opportunities for every student, and we hope to promote equity in VAPA so that every student has the opportunity to participate in the great programs that we've seen on display tonight. We want to develop and implement a VAPA scope and sequence, which we've actually already begun working on, and we want to include a VAPA goal in the district LCAP. Finally, Strategic Direction D calls for us to identify possible VAPA spaces in the district. We plan to explore and develop funding sources for that and to develop and articulate plans for a VAPA center down the road. We're hitting the home stretch here. We wanted to show you one last performance from a new group making their debut. This group has been meeting after school at Emperor for the last, I don't know, how long, Lacey?
This is our second year.
Second year. They're here tonight to perform to you in their first public performance. It's their debut. So please give them a warm welcome, the Emperor.
And they're super excited to present to you a little number that we've been working on.
Auspicious debut. You say you knew them when. So our last slide here, I just want to wrap up by thanking everyone who made our presentation tonight possible. We have student artwork, as you've most likely noticed, around the room, and we want to thank all the students who contributed that work, all the teachers and administrators who went out of their way to make sure it got to us and got put up on display. I want to thank Jared Jambazian for sharing photos with us for our presentation. Lori Brighton, our administrative assistant at Ed Services, who hung much of the art in the room tonight. And of course, I want to thank our student performers, the Brighter Side Singers, the cast of By Any Other Name, and of course, the Emperor Tap Club. So we'd be happy to answer any questions that you have tonight. if any.
The Emperor Cap Club, what are they all ages and stuff, or what's the grade level?
It's 4th through 6th grade right now. We have about 25 kids involved, just 8 kids that represented that. It's after school, 1 day a week on Thursdays.
Have we budgeted for all these different functions?
Well, the Emperor Tech Club, I can say, is a volunteer organization at this point.
I love it.
Hint, hint. Now, all of these programs are either part of our school day currently, the Brighter Side Singers, for example, and our drama production was the advanced drama class at Tcusd High School.
I think probably more questions once we start incorporating this into the LCAP and how that will affect the curriculum day at the school. So I'm really jazzed with what I'm seeing. There's always energy. I was never in performing arts, but I'm always happy to help and volunteer with it, with all the musicals and summer musicals that Mr. Byer put on, and then what the grade schools put on too. It's just amazing the passion that all of you teachers and volunteers put into it, and the benefit that the kids get from it. And you actually benefit too, I can see, because you have a good time doing it. I know Mr. Byer does, and Lacey, look at you're having a good time. So thank you very much. I appreciate what you do.
For my request, when can I see the discussion and the solution for the request, such as increase the kindergarten time or dual language immersion program? Where are you going to discuss that?
Well, we will arrange it on a future agenda, and if you leave your contact information with Ms. Emerald, we can alert you as to when we would have a discussion of that nature on a future agenda. So,
Okay,
thank you. Okay. So, Mr. Stokes, thank you very much. I appreciate
Thank you,
all
sir.
the information.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Next will be our item 14, which is I will move to approve changes to extend learning program pricing structure. Second by Mr. Gould. Ms. Fielman, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Board and President Marston. I also have here with me Nikki Wong, who's the program supervisor for the Extended Learning Program. So just a little background on the Extended Learning Program. As you know, it's offered currently at all 4 of our elementary schools and at Oak Avenue Intermediate. So it's offered to all of our TK through 8th grade students before and after school program. The goal of our program is to really provide a safe, nurturing environment to encourage students' academic enrichment. So we want to be an extension of the school day for our students after school to have academic enrichment, social experiences, add to their cognitive development and physical development. Students in the program currently experience a broad array of enrichment activities to complement their regular academic program. We integrate higher learning skills and STEAM, so science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And this year, with Mickey's help, we work together to provide curriculum guidance to all of our instructors at all of the after-school programs of how to do that and how to integrate those different areas throughout the months and days. So we're really proud of our program. We have consistent staff. They know our students. We are able to provide training for them, collaborate with day teachers, and share resources with our school community. So currently the pricing structure that the Extended Learning Program has been operating under, which you have a copy of, is based on a daily rate. And so every month it's a variable rate depending on how many days there are in that month. So you can see if you look at that structure, it varies every month. So our hope is to create a simplified process and payment structure so that it's a little bit more clear. And you can see at the bottom of that document that you have there, we've priced it over an entire year and then broken it up into a 10-month payment plan. So the same months that they were paying before, August through June, but yet just a yearly rate broken up by those 10 months. Included in this is also, you'll notice, a slight increase. So at the top, you'll see highlighted at the bottom in beige are the current totals, if somebody was coming every month, what the totals would be. And then in the proposed pricing structure in green, you'll see what the slight increase would look like. So every month it breaks down to maybe a $20 monthly increase. But this is a needed increase. There hasn't been an increase in several years. And there are, as you know, continual rising costs, and we want to continue to provide our high-quality program. Just as one more quick piece in there, we did look at all of the competitor programs that are offered, and our price is still lower and actually competitive with all of those as well. So why don't you just open up if you had any questions on that?
I have a question here. I'm noticing the differences in prices are a couple $100 a year for most columns, but then the AM only 7th through 8th grade,
Right, and we did look
it's
at
like
that.
an $800 almost
Right.
difference.
So the previous AM only for the middle school was calculated at a rate of $6 a day, where the AM only for 1st through 6th was calculated at a rate of $10 a day. So that's why there was that difference. So we have now brought it to a consistent AM only fee, regardless of whether they're 1st through 6th or 7th. The employment cost is the same, and we broke it down hourly also, and so it looks like even at the $1,800 a month for AM only, it breaks down to about $6 an hour.
Plus 1,800 a year, right?
Right, and then it's 180 a month, and then divided by the 4 weeks, and then the 5 days, and then about an hour and a half in the morning, 7 to 8. The other thing that we would encourage is that families would sign up for AM PM. So the 7th and 8th AM PM rate would be that $2,800 over the years with $280 a month, and then they could come AM and PM. So it's just a higher rate if it's a separate, if they're paying, which probably most parents don't do, they would do the AM PM combined rate.
Has there been any type of notification or survey sent out to parents about the price increase and their opinions on that?
No, there has not. So we collaborated here. Mickey, did you do any surveys to parents?
What was that?
No.
Mr. Marston, the collaboration was with our business services department, talking about what we needed to do in order to remain at least positive.
Yeah, well, I understand from our point of view, absolutely. And it's a very beneficial program for all the kids who are involved in it. Anyway, so, is this about school? Elementaries and middle school. Okay, are there any other questions pertaining to this? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor for approving the changes? Aye. Thank you, Lou. We have the next item 15 is I'll move to approve declaration of need for fully qualified educators. Second by Mr. Walter.
So this is a requirement annually by CTC. There's nothing that holds us to the number that we submit to CTC, but basically what it does is it gives us the flexibility, should we not be able to find teachers who are fully credentialed, to hire teachers on a intern permit or an emergency permit. Most of the time that's not an issue for us, but more and more with our special education needs for teaching needs, it's happening. There are fewer and fewer teachers coming out and wanting to teach special education programs, and so sometimes we have to hire teachers on that program.
This is done each year.
Yes.
Any questions? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 5-0. Okay, moving on to item 16. I'll move to approve resolution 1718-12, authorizing memberships in educational societies, associations, and organizations for 2018-2019. Second by Mr. Gould. This is pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, pretty self-explanatory. So this is basically, we reach out to our school sites and our district departments for any associations that they belong to. We approve them here. I know that there is one that was left off of this list that will come to you our next meeting for the high school. But we'll give that to you.
What was the price last?
Can you speak up for that?
What was the price last year?
I'm going to have to get you that information, Mr. Norbert. I don't know if we could compare a total price because there may be different organizations on here from last year. If you want to see a comparison of each individual organization from last year to this year, we could do that.
Is that what you're looking for?
I think it's about the same number.
I would say that it's relatively close.
We didn't add it.
Again, I have to get you that information.
Any other questions?
Yeah, a question on a couple of them there. The unrestricted general fund, and also has a particular school, so number 3 has Emperor, and 14 also has Emperor. So what, this is the designation of what? Are there any separate from the other schools aren't getting it, or what is the?
It's just, yeah, it's up to the school sites to let us know the associations they would like to belong to. Different sites, different principals. Usually it's the administrative teams that are part of these organizations. And so if they let us know, then
Any other questions? All right, Ms. Sermo, would you please do a roll call vote?
Member Bell?
Yes.
Member Gould?
Yes.
Member Huff? Yes. Member Nolenberg?
Yes.
Member Marston?
Okay, moving on to item 17. We have 2 leftover comment cards for item 17. Ms. Chrissy Ferntoff?
I would like to give my time to Kathy Green, please.
Good evening. Initially, when I thought of addressing you this evening, it was in regards to my leave and when I could return to fulfilling my duties as superintendent. Instead, you chose to put forth a resolution that further makes every attempt to tarnish my years of service and further demean my reputation. It now seems obvious that you recognized refusing to extend my contract would be very unpopular in the broader school community. So on March 21st, I was asked by board president and one other member of the board to tell the community I was retiring. In other words, I was asked to lie to the community. In the days that followed, the board president, when questioned about the board's decision, told parents, staff, and community members that I, quote, was too old. A statement alluded to in the board's complimentary letter of me published to the community on March 23rd, stating our desires to have individuals in place for the long haul. Board members and their relatives have had private meetings with members of the community, some in their homes. In addition, other parents were told, quote, in not renewing my contract, it gave them options to offer jobs to other individuals. If that was not outrageous enough, in past discussions, the board president told an interview panel, and I quote, he always thought of a principal or leader as a man. It seems obvious, please. It seems obvious that since I refused to lie to the community, 4 of the 5 board members suddenly had to conjure up reasons for not extending my contract. Each did so despite the fact that none of them ever before stated to me concerns about board communication, decision-making, nor my leadership style. In fact, I have numerous complimentary emails stating quite the opposite. How was I supposed to know that you had a problem with me? After seeing the community's strong resolve, the board president announced to the audience at the special meeting on April 6th that we were holding positive talks. By the way, that meeting was planned without my knowledge or that of my office while I was out of town on a conference, yet the Teachers Association was aware of the meeting the day prior. The board president's comments were only partly true, as some on the board had already articulated their grievances with one another, never before stated to me. It is clear that they were not listening when I responded both at the meeting on April 10th and the meeting on April 18th. Indeed, prior to closed session on both the 10th and the 18th, I handed each of you a letter outlining my commitment to address each of your concerns if given the chance. It appears that regardless of my responses or that of the community, the decision was made and the fact is affirmed in the notice personally delivered to me at my home on April 19th, clearly indicating the paid administrative leave began effective April 6th, clearly showing the letter was prepared almost 2 weeks earlier. Please. Sadly, you chose to put me and the community through unnecessary motions when the decision was already made. So, if you had concerns about a $128,000 construction project or technology or furniture cost overruns reaching $500,000, you had over 4 hours to question me during closed session discussions on April 6th, 10th, and the 18th. Instead, you called me back after midnight on the 18th, not to question me about the project or anything else for that matter, but to tell me that I was being placed on leave pending an investigation. When I asked why, the board's attorney pointed to a file he had in front of him and referred to bid splitting as if I should know what he was referring to. Again, this is extremely dishonest. If you as a board and council have the construction file, I then ask, how is it that you have nearly a 3-year-old file from the business division? Where has the file been for 3 years? Who had access to it? And why, if it was so important, was I not questioned at any time before placing me on leave? The documents are not from LACO, as the resolution states. They were obviously part of a file that the board had in their possession. Please allow me to finish. Why? I will tell you why. I was left out, not given the opportunity to share. A majority of you felt you had the dirt on me to justify your decision to not extend my contract. What's more, despite an investigation of the project, I still have not been questioned and others were. I saw for the first time the packet of documents as part of tonight's board agenda. Again, I can't help but believe the majority of the board really didn't want to hear from me or learn the depth of my involvement or lack thereof in a project or anything else. Had I been given the opportunity to answer your questions about the project or that of the investigator, I would have shared the project was requested by the principal in preparation for a WASP visit that coming year. The project had to be completed before staff and students returned to school. I'm not in charge of the project, I'm not the CBO, nor did I designate or direct anyone to oversee the project. I'm not involved in the day-to-day development of projects, and I was busy transitioning to my new role as superintendent, signing my contract on June 15th. Not once was I made aware of any problems, potential problems with the project. I rely on the CBO to keep me informed of all financial aspects of the district. I do not seek bids, code projects, or encourage cost overruns. What I do encourage is being good stewards of the public's money and educating our kids and staff in the best environment possible. Please. Yes, I am the superintendent. I am ultimately responsible for what occurs in this district, but this is outrageous. The project and the alleged overruns for technology and furniture was for the benefit of the schools and the students, nothing more. I did not benefit in any way, the district was not harmed in any way, we did not lose money or misappropriate dollars. Yet, you obviously feel the need to punish me for doing what is right for kids. I have willingly and proudly served this district for 41 years of my life, preceded by my father's 40. Obviously, it is difficult for some of you to acknowledge that fact and see the big picture of success in this district during my tenure as superintendent. A position, by the way, I did not seek. Perhaps some of you are lost to do so, given that you have told me to my face it is difficult for you because everybody knows me and not everyone knows you're on the board. Perhaps that is why it is difficult with some of the decisions that have been made in regarding to doing what is best for kids. To me, it doesn't matter who gets the credit in the great work that we have accomplished, yet my popularity in the community seems to bother you. Interestingly, it seems some of you definitely believe that men make better leaders or that age has anything to do with one's ability to lead. Well, would this have all been handled differently had I been a man or younger? And all of this has been said about me and about you, including in the resolution. For what, I ask you? Have the kids benefited in any way? Have I, each of you, our district, the community? What have we modeled to our children? That when adults have difficulty working together or getting along, we go out of our way to ruin their reputations or one another? I am by no means perfect, and I am the first to apologize when there is a wrong committed, especially if I am aware. I am not the lying, cheating, mean leader you have made me out to be. I ask you, do the right thing, restore my position, clear my name, and let's get on about business of focusing on educating our kids together. Thank you for your
Rachel Lasoda.
I don't know how I can follow that. I'll try. I requested a few more minutes since you so wonderfully put me as a litigating person out on the agenda and to the public. So a couple housekeeping things I wanted to start with. I came here again prepared to say one thing, but I need to touch on a couple things. I wanted to say hi to you, Warren, because I feel like we're on a personal level after what you just did with your resolution naming me. Mr. Nolenberg, you made a comment that you were voted because you were trusted, but I just filed a Brown Act complaint against the board for a lack of transparency, and if I'm not mistaken, you say in your resolution 5 times that I allege that you broke the law. It isn't an allegation. You did. It wasn't on the agenda. I think the act of appointing an interim superintendent must have just slipped your mind, and in order to smear the previous superintendent, you chose to break the law to enforce the law. That's kind of how I'm following this. So I'm a little appalled that the self-righteousness of you, Mr. Nolenberg, and Larry, I'm not trying to run you out of town according to your newspaper article. What I'm trying to do is to have you do things legally and correctly. The resolution smeared me, it defamed me, it caused me lots of grief. Unfortunately, it had nothing to do with what the complaint was. The complaint, unfortunately for Mr. Kuna, was about his appointment that was not on an agenda. Furthermore, you took action in closed session on an item that wasn't on the agenda. You didn't report it out, and then you're villainizing me by taking a complaint, a valid complaint, which I have copies here for everybody who hasn't seen it, because in no place in that complaint was Kathy Perini named. I didn't ask for anything, I didn't allege anything about her, it was about the appointment of Art Kuna. So in the district's response, and Warren, you should be ashamed of yourself, because I was on the board that hired your firm, and you have multiple board members out here sitting here going, this is shocking. Yes, was the resolution you drafted semi-legal, but it's unethical, so the state bar can deal with that. As for you, Larry, you're board president. What the public doesn't know, you're the only one who can deal with legal counsel when you're not sitting at this table or in closed session. So you, personally, okayed that resolution to come out, knowing it had absolutely nothing to do with Kathy Perini. But in order to deflect from what I was asking for and the board's illegal action, what I'm shocked is you're sitting here making decisions for kids. You just sent a message when you as adults commit a wrong, you don't take responsibility and say, oh my gosh, it wasn't on the agenda, we need to correct it, but in the resolution you talk about curing and correcting it. So is it an allegation or is it an actual violation? And what are we teaching our kids that are here, sitting here tonight about not taking responsibility? I didn't ask you anything about Kathy Perini. Anything I want about Kathy Perini, I already got documents from LACO. I've already submitted more public records requests than I know what to do with. I do not understand why you drafted that resolution. So the only logical explanation would be you need to table it till the next board meeting. You need to draft a legally correct response that addresses what I asked about and what I alleged the violation was of so-called according to your allegation. You need to take out everything about Kathy Perini, and you need to fix the fact that you publicly took it upon labeling me that I asked for those documents, or I'm alleging. That didn't happen. So I'm asking you to table it and have Warren, because he's going to get a bonus for all of his billable hours this year, to fix it correctly. Furthermore, one other comment that I would like to make. You're not the first board to not renew a superintendent's contract. There's a lot of board members out here that are watching this going, you talk about being good stewards of public money. Warren needs to go home. He doesn't need to be sitting at the board table every time you have a meeting. It's not tabled, and you continue to have my name slandered, and I'm getting all kinds of emails. You're not the only one, Larry, getting threats and problems. I'm going to take a different kind of action, and you're going to have more cost accumulated, because Warren here is going to be on a lot of vacations based on what his salary is coming. You need to step back. You need to stop trying to smear your superintendent. This board, I don't understand it. A non-renewal of a contract is the easiest way to dissolve a work relationship. You shut your mouth, you stand by your decision, and you move forward. You don't do evaluations after the fact. You don't do everything that you've done and you're alleging. I haven't been a board member in 7 years. Law hasn't changed. If there is an egregious financial accounting act committed, LACO catches it. By law, they flag it to the district attorney's office and the state superintendent of schools. That didn't happen, and by your own faulty documents you released, the bids, they were paid. LACO wouldn't have paid out on them. So all of this fazzle-dazzle of an audit and an investigation is money. If you had an actual solid case, the DA would have had it 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So enough. So with your permission, I'll just pass the original signatures here for Art Kuna. Here's copies. If you're not going to rescind this, then I'm moving forward with litigation. Thank you.
Okay, so I will make a motion to reorder the agenda by moving the consideration for item 17, resolution 1782-13, carrying correcting the alleged Brown Act violation until after closed session in order to receive the advice of counsel before acting on the resolution. Second by Mr. Poole. All in favor? No. So 4-1, Bill, no. Okay, move on to our consent agenda. Routine items approved by one motion and one vote unless a member of the board or audience requests that any item be voted upon separately. Is there any such request? I'd like to pull item 21 to vote on. So I'll move to approve the consent order agenda, items 18, 19, 20, 22 and 23.
And second.
Items 222. Second by Mr. Gould. All in favor? Aye. 5-0. All right, so as far as the certificated personal order, we had a couple of name changes, or correction.
Corrections, yes. So sorry for short, spelled her name incorrectly. And sorry, Ms. Espinosa, we had Melissa down as a flag trainee, and it should have been Maryland.
Okay, so with those corrections, I'll move to approve item 21 of the consent agenda.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gould. All in favor? Aye. I will move that we adjourn to closed session.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gould. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 5-0.
I couldn't even speak if I was angry. Awesome. Man, all of them like a spirit.
No, he's got 3 tests. I'll see you later, friend. Okay, let me know. See you tomorrow morning. You're stinky.
I'm starving.
Performing arts stuff. Oh, I would love that. Thank you so much, Donna. They're strawberry. Oh, I mean, think about it. It's from Barcelona.
Really? Oh, it's beautiful. That's one of the buildings I have to see.
Oh, rather familiar? Yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting. My son said it. All that architecture.
curiosity factor.
Yeah.
They all want to see what this is actively reading, whether it's still talking or watching.
Yeah.
The more 50 curiosity. They want to see.
So what are you doing now that you're in Tcusd? Or she has good job. Capacity. Not as fast.
At the level that you're at,
Your voice still Where is Ryan again? Tyler.
and multitasking. Listening to a call, having analysts report on everything, he's reading everything, he's writing something else, all at the same time. He's handling like
White guy thinks he's great. He's actually right there now. What's translating? What's translating? And then reporting to government agencies about what's going on. If you get social security. Okay. Now, he's getting a master's because he went to Oh, okay. Another school and he's getting a master's in film of all things.
The Board of Education took the following actions this evening in closed session. On a motion by Member Marston, second by Mrs. Huff, and a vote by Mr. Bell, yes, Mr. Gould, yes, Mrs. Huff, yes, Mr. Nolberg, yes, Mr. Marston, yes. Rescind the 418 appointment of Dr. Arcuna as active superintendent and return his position as assistant superintendent of personnel services. Second action, motion by Member Gould, second by Member Bell. Okay, and a vote, Bell, yes, Gould, yes, Mrs. Huff, yes, Mr. Nolberg, yes, Mr. Martian, yes. We appoint Marianne Sorrell as acting superintendent. Our third action, a motion of Member Marston, second by Mr. Nolberg. Vote, Mr. Bell, yes, Mr. Gould, yes, Mrs. Huff, yes, Mr. Nolberg, yes, Mr. Martian, yes. We affirm the appointment of Suman Chow as interim superintendent of educational services. That was all the action taken in closed session. Moving to item 17 on our agenda. Is there a motion to consider adoption of Resolution 17-1813, curing and correcting the Brown Act violation alleged by Rachel Soda and received by the district on April 23rd, 2018?
So moved.
You move. Moved by Mr. Gould, seconds.
Second.
Second by Mr. Nolenberg.
Member Bell?
No.
Member Gould?
Yes.
Member Huff?
Yes.
Member Nolenberg?
Yes.
Member Marston?
Yes. The vote was 4-1. Did you get the roll call? Okay. I will move to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gould. All in favor? Aye. Aye, 5-0.
Oh, it's fine. Oh, no, I don't want it. I don't want it.
I was reading the mail.
I'm starving.
I'm starving.
Performing arts stuff. Oh, I would love one of these. Thank you so much, Donna. What about hot dogs? They're strawberry. Oh, I mean, think about it. It's from Barcelona.
Really? Oh, it's beautiful. That's one of the buildings I have to see.
Oh, rather familiar? Yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting. My son said it. All that architecture. Don't tell me you'd be awesome.
Curiosity factor. They all want to see what this is. Actively reading. Whether it's still talking, watching.
Yeah.
More 50 curiosity. They all
So what are you doing now that you're a professor? Or she's also doing Tcusd. Not as fast.
at the level that you're looking at.
Your voice so much Where is Ryan again? Tyler.
Multitasking. Listening to a call, having analysts report on multiple he's reading everything, writing something else, all at the same time. He's handling like
White guy thinks he's great.
you can put over than I am.
He's actually right there now. What's translating?
Yoga. Go back to it.
So what's translating? And then reporting to government agencies about what's going on.
Okay.
Now, he's getting a master's because he went to Yale now. He's graduated.
Oh, okay.
Another school, and he's getting a master's in film of all things. Go figure.
The Board of Education took the following actions this evening in closed session. On a motion by Member Marston, second by Mrs. Huff, and a vote by Mr. Bell, yes, Mr. Gould, yes, Mrs. Huff, yes, Mr. Nolberg, yes, Mr. Marston, yes. Rescind the 418 appointment of Dr. Arcuna as active superintendent and return his position as assistant superintendent of personnel services. Second action, motion by Member Gould, second by Member Bell. Okay, and a vote, Bell, yes, Gould, yes, Mrs. Huff, yes, Mr. Nolberg, yes, Mr. Marston, yes. We appoint Marianne Sorrell as acting superintendent. Our third action, a motion of Member Marston, second by Mr. Nolberg. Vote, Mr. Bell, yes, Mr. Gould, yes, Mrs. Huff, yes. Mr. Nolberg, yes. Mr. Marston, yes. We affirm the appointment of Suman Chow as interim superintendent of educational services. That was all the action taken in closed session. Moving to item 17 on our agenda. Is there a motion to consider adoption of Resolution 17-1813, curing and correcting the Brown Act violation alleged by Rachel Soda and received by the district on April 23rd, 2018?
So moved.
Moved. Moved by Mr. Gould, seconds.
Second.
Second by Mr. Nolenberg.
Member Bell?
No.
Member Gould?
Yes.
Member Huff?
Yes.
Member Nolenberg?
Yes.
Member Marston?
Yes. The vote was 4-1. Did you get the roll call? Okay. I will move to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gould. All in favor? Aye. Aye, 5 yeas.